Episode number 8, Toronto Talk Sports and more. Welcome, welcome. It's your boy Hez, alongside my partner, Milo, recording on Wednesday, May 23rd. What's going on, Milo?
Not too much, Hez. It's good to be back. I think we've been off for, 10 days, right?
Yeah, who's counting?
Yeah, I certainly have been because I've been excited. There's a lot of sports action been going on. So
Lots going on. Yes. Beautiful weather going on, a high of 27 degrees in the wonderful city of Toronto. Looks like we're going to have 30 degrees over the next 2 days, so very, very nice.
Summer is here.
Indeed. So we're a bit short-handed this week. Our other partner and co-host, my younger brother, Court, he's under the weather, as they say. He's got a bad case of the flu, it appears. So we'll definitely miss you, Courts. We wish you well. Hope you get back soon.
Keeps him sidelined like that.
Someone needs to drink their vitamins, eh?
Yeah, that's it.
Take some meds. But no, Courts will be back, hopefully with us next week. Get well soon, bro. So Milo, it looks like it's just you and I. You know what that means, right?
What's that?
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I.
Oh, yeah, cut that crap, Hez. Come on. It's all good, man. You and I will hold it down. We all usually do, right? But I want to get to something else. I want to get to something more important that's been taking over the internet.
What's shaking?
You know, this whole Yanni and Laurel, and it's time to settle this, Hez.
Oh, boy.
It's time to settle this right here on TTS. Let's hear it. Let's see what you hear.
Laurel.
All right, what do you hear there?
I hear Warriors in 6.
Wow.
That's what I hear. I hear Dubs in 6. No, I definitely hear Laurel. I don't know where this Yanni business comes in, and I know there's all this, if you want to get scientific with the frequency, and apparently, those with younger ears will hear Yanni and whatever the case. Laurel all the way. I don't even think it's a debate. What do you hear?
Yeah, I heard the same. I heard Laurel. I don't know where this Yanni is coming in, but and from the majority of people that I've spoken to, they've heard Yanni as well. Laurel as well.
How did this thing take over the internet? How does this even become a thing that goes viral? Like, I don't understand it. What is it? Where does this craze
I don't know. Somebody
from?
who created it is definitely probably getting paid.
Right.
But, it's that whole thing about that blue dress, that gold dress, that was a big thing a few years ago as well. So,
right.
It's definitely. But, I came across something the other day. It really was interesting. I was watching Jimmy Fallon and
all right.
Questlove from The Roots.
I love The Roots. Organic hip-hop, baby.
That's it,
yeah.
Man. Go way back with The Roots, right? But from Philadelphia as well. They came up with a remix. Questlove came up with a remix on the show of Yanni and Laurel. So let's play that clip right there.
Laurel.
All right, that was pretty cool, right? So, Hez, what's going on your end, man?
Yeah. Everything is good, man. Last week, actually, my very soon-to-be 10-year-old son, Zaloam, he participated in a track and field meet against other schools in the Durham region where we reside. He was participated in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the relay. He actually finished first place at his school.
Wow.
So at his school, before the competition. But against much better competition, it was a little bit tough at the meet. He didn't end up medaling. You actually have to have a top 3 finish to get a medal. But my wife and I, we were there to support him. We were so very proud.
Nice.
Just his attitude, his competitiveness. As a parent, it really was amazing and nerve-wracking, actually. But shout out to all the young kids out there who are competing in sports and sporting events and all that stuff. It's great to obviously exercise and, just getting involved in sports and physical fitness, can definitely teach you a lot about life values and things of that sort. So shout out to all the kids.
Next time I see him, I'm going to call him Zalone Bolt.
Zalone Bolt, yeah, that's it there,
Maybe
man.
Zalone DeGrasse.
Yes. So shout out to all the kids and to all the parents, of course, that support them. Good job, buddy.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it's good that he got involved in stuff like that at a young age, and I'm sure he's going to do great, right?
He plays basketball as well, so he's very athletic, very competitive. But this was the first time that he participated in an individual sport. So we watched him play ball and whatnot. But as I said, it was quite nerve-wracking at times. It's like he's coming down the aisle. It's like, oh, go.
For
Heart
sure.
pounding out, but very proud of my boy.
Good stuff. So, Hez, what's up for today's show, man? What's on the menu?
Well, just the two of us. Well, we actually do have a guest. Before I get to that, so yeah, today we're going to talk some NHL Stanley Cup playoffs heating up, getting very, very close to the Stanley Cup Finals. In fact, once this episode actually does air by tomorrow, which is the 24th, the Stanley Cup Finals would be set. We're also going to discuss some World Cup, which is coming up very, very soon, so we'll get into that. The NBA Conference Finals, we got the East and the West, lots of things happening there.
Huge game last night.
And as I said, yeah, we do have a guest today, so it's not just the two of us. For the most part it is, but we do have a special guest for our And More segment. We'll be discussing some real estate.
Nice. Always a good topic to discuss to make some money.
That's it. So let's do it. Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Milo back here with Hez as we're going to talk a little NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. The playoffs are winding down, Hez, as the expansion Vegas Golden Knights from the Western Conference are in the Stanley Cup Finals as they beat the Winnipeg Jets in 5 games. In the Eastern Conference, the two best words in sports, Game 7 goes down tonight. I just do want to remind our audience that we are recording this on Wednesday, May the 23rd, but by the time you hear this and you listen to this podcast, the NHL Finals will be set. So it's either going to be the Capitals of Washington or the Tampa Bay Lightning. Game 7 goes down.
Go Capitals.
Yes, sir. Game 7 goes down. It's actually underway right now in Tampa Bay. So what are your thoughts, Hez, on the series?
Well, first of all, let me just say it's been a very interesting playoff run for the Caps. Most people didn't expect them to be here in this position, just one game away from appearing in the Stanley Cup Finals. As you'll recall, Milo, they fell behind by 2 games in the first round to the Blue Jackets, their opening round of the playoffs. Yeah. Most people thought that they were done, and now they bounced back strong, winning that series. I'd say overall the Cats have been the better team so far in this series. That's been pretty close. I believe they've outscored Tampa Bay by 4 goals in the series. But the Lightning are a great team. They're favored. They're playing Game 7 at home. Right. In fact, I believe this is the 3rd time in the last 4 years that they're playing a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's pretty crazy. In 2015, they actually beat the Rangers in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And in 2016, they lost to some team named the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think you might be familiar with them or something like that. So they've been here before, but this time they have home court advantage or home ice advantage, I guess.
We talk too much basketball, right?
Exactly, yeah. They have home ice advantage.
Right.
So, yeah, it should be interesting, man.
That's cool, man. I mean, for me personally, I'm going for the Lightning. I just want Ovechkin to keep struggling and not get that Stanley Cup. Let Sid the kid have all his shine.
Because of that rivalry with Sid.
That's right. But who do you like for the game today?
Well, you know what? I think when it comes to Game 7s, the big stars, your guns got to be the big guns. So you'll look for, obviously, guys like Steve Stamkos. He's actually scored a goal in each of the first 4 games of the series. But the last game, or the last 2 games actually, he's actually had only 1 shot on net in both games 5 and 6, so he needs to step up. Yeah. Ovechkin, he's had a pretty decent series, 3 goals and 3 assists throughout 6 games, but he was held pointless in game number 6. He's definitely going to need to step up and put up some points in pivotal Game 7, obviously, to move on to the Stanley Cup Finals and to make his leader of his country, Mr. Vladimir Putin, happy. But, we'll see what happens. For me, I'm just, I'll take the underdog. I know that most people are favoring, and obviously Tampa's favored to win the game. I am cheering for Washington. I think that Ovechkin will step up and have a big game. Yeah. So I think that Washington could pull it off.
I actually agree. I think I am going for Tampa Bay, but I do think Washington will win. It'll be the Washington Capitals, and I did mention this team, the Vegas Golden Knights, making it to the NHL Finals as an expansion team, which is just downright amazing.
Unbelievable.
Just really amazing. I remember the Tampa Bay coach said he's refusing to call it a Cinderella story, more like a success story. So what do you make of the Vegas Golden Knights season thus far?
Well, listen, I've followed them from the beginning, obviously, just the intrigue of them being a new team in the league and, just the whole thrill of, Las Vegas and whatnot. Yep. They were 3rd in the West this year, finished the season with 109 points. They were the 3rd highest scoring team in the league. They were tied with some team, once again, the Penguins or something like that. They were tied with the Penguins for 3rd most goals in the league, led by William Clarkson. freshman, fourth-year player from Sweden. Shout out to Matt Sundin. But they've just been amazing. I mean, just the records that they've broken and how far they've gotten. If they could actually finish it off and win the Stanley, wouldn't that just be an amazing story? Not just for hockey, obviously for Vegas, but just for sports in general. That would be really amazing.
I was just going to say, it would be some party in Vegas, that's for sure.
Yeah, oh, you can say that again. Yeah. What I think is one of the keys to their success, and definitely throughout these playoffs, and once again, I know we've been talking about the Penguins quite a bit. I seem to bring them up. But solid goaltending by Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously former Penguin.
3 cups.
Spent most of his career in Pittsburgh. He's just been amazing. He's probably been the best goalie so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they've just been a really great team.
That's awesome.
Throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I think they've been fantastic for just not only the NHL as you mentioned, but all of sports. It's just a great story. So
go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, an interesting fact. You and I, we're not too shy when it comes to, sports wagering and whatnot. When the season started, the Vegas Golden Knights were 500-1 favorites, or 501 preseason odds for them to win the Stanley Cup. So could you imagine if you had put just $100 on the Vegas Golden Knights to win a Stanley Cup, you'd have a down payment at a house.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: would you cash out right now? Take the guaranteed profit.
Well, I think if it was within the $20,000 or $30,000, why the heck not?
Absolutely, right.
That's just amazing, and that just shows that obviously they weren't expected to do too much as an expansion team, and they've made it this far. It's just an unbelievable story once again for sports in general.
Perfect. That's perfect. So let's finally wrap it up with a little bit of local talk here with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Who?
The Toronto Maple Laughs. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They do make us laugh.
I understand. Okay.
So they obviously went with a little bit of a front office shakeup. Tell us a little bit about the front office shakeup.
Well, yeah. So as we all know, they recently named a new GM. 32-year young old Kyle Dubas was named the new GM of the Leafs a couple weeks ago. So he's new to the team. Lou Lamoriello, who was actually supposed to stay with the Leafs in a senior advisory role, he was recently named the president of hockey operations for the Islanders. So he left the Leafs. He was with us for about 3 seasons, I believe. Leafs made the playoffs twice under his tenure. Also leaving the Leafs under a mutual agreement was assistant GM Mark Hunter. He's been with the Leafs since August of 2016, and he actually had a shared role with Kyle Dubas in that same position. He's been with the organization since 2014. So just, a lot of things shaking up. Brendan Shanahan's been a very busy guy over the last couple of weeks, and it looks like things will be interesting and continuing to be busy throughout the course of the summer.
Yeah, could Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner be next? We'll keep
our
eye on that.
You never know. I think everything is on the table. All in all, I think the Leafs had a decent season, and we've discussed this before. I think more or less they just had the unfortunate thing about playing their first round matchup against the Bruins. I think another matchup would have been obviously the league changed around the playoff seedings and whatnot, so things shifted there. But all in all, they're a young team, and I think that they have a good core, and with a few tweaks here and there, I think they're in good shape, or they will be in good shape. And Brendan Shanahan, I'm sure, has a few tricks up his sleeves for the summer.
Yes, sir. We'll see what happens. So thanks for that, Hez. That's been your TTS NHL update. Toronto Talk Sports and more. Welcome back to Toronto Talk Sports and more. It's your boy Milo here, and I'm here with a very special guest, a very good friend of mine for the last 15 years, Mario Armani from Royal LePage, and we're going to talk some FIFA World Cup soccer. Mario, how are you, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Milan. I'm really excited to be here. It's actually my first time on a podcast, so nice. I'm very grateful to you and Toronto Talk Sports for having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by, brother. So that's great. Well, the FIFA World Cup 2018 is about 3 weeks away as it kicks off on Thursday, June the 14th, live from Donald Trump's favorite place in the world, Russia. A lot of excitement around the world as well as right here in Toronto. And as we all know, Toronto's a very diverse city, and we have pockets of areas that love supporting their country, such as Little Portugal, Little Spain. Of course, the Greeks are on the Danforth. And we can't forget our friends in Little Italy who will be watching from their couches just like their team will be doing.
You know that I have a lot of clients in Woodbridge, so they're not going to be too happy about you making these comments, huh?
Yeah, just don't give them my address. That's all
No problem. He lives in Woodbridge, by the way.
That's all good. So, Mario, I know personally that you're a big Argentina fan. What do you think of their team going into the World Cup?
Before I even get into Argentina, the World Cup, to me, it's the biggest sporting event. As you said, does begin June 14th. There's 32 teams participating, 6 continents. There's going to be a total of 64 games, 12 different venues, 11 different cities. It's just going to be absolutely crazy. I am Argentinian. That doesn't mean that I'm always going to root for my team, but at the end of the day, I actually have no confidence in my team.
Really?
They've proven time and time again that whenever they step onto the finals, that they do choke. I hope that's not the case this year, but I actually personally don't see Argentina going too far in the tournament. They actually have what I consider to be the group of death. Their group, they have Argentina, Croatia, Iceland, and Nigeria. If you actually do a little bit of research, these teams are actually some of the toughest teams in the tournament, and they're actually 2 of the teams are actually 2 of my sleeper picks. So.
Oh, okay. We'll get into that in a little bit. So, in terms of Argentina, I think when you talk about Argentina, you talk about one guy, and that's Lionel Messi. How do you think he'll perform?
Lionel Messi, time and time again, he's shown that he is the best player in the world, hands down. Argentina would not even be in the World Cup if it wasn't for Lionel Messi. He had an unbelievable performance the last game, which if they didn't win that game, they wouldn't have qualified. He scored a hat-trick against Ecuador. He basically carried Argentina on its back, and I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to shine, and he carried the team to the World Cup last tournament. I don't see any different this time.
And now I know not to call him Lionel, right? It's Lionel. Okay.
Lionel, Lionel, Leo,
That's
whatever
it.
you want to call him. He's always...
Do you think he's going to be around for many more years, or is this it for the legend?
You know what? That's a great question, Milan. I think that this is the tournament where he needs to show that he is the best player in the world. This is going to be the last tournament that he plays where he's going to be in optimal conditions. His birthday actually is at the end of June, so while the World Cup is going on, he's going to turn 31 years old. So obviously,
that's old in soccer.
It's not old in soccer, but I do see him playing the next World Cup also. But obviously, you know what I mean. We would have to see at the high level that he plays. I don't know how much of a factor he'll be when he's 35 years old. So I do see this as being his last tournament.
For sure, for sure. Another team that's always very popular is Portugal. There was a strong favorite with my twin brother, Cristiano Ronaldo, leading the way for them. How do you think they'll fare?
Portugal is actually another one of my sleeper teams. They're always going to be the favorite. Cristiano Ronaldo is the type of player where when he needs to score, he'll put the ball in the net. He also leads the team, and he is a little bit older. He does have a little bit more miles on him, but at the end of the day, you know what? Ronaldo's going to come through in the clutch. But, you know, they also have a very, very tough group. Portugal has Spain, Iran, and Morocco in their group. Obviously, Spain is favored to win that group, but I do see Iran and Morocco giving Portugal a run for their money for that second spot.
Okay. Which actually just leads into my next question was he is also getting a little bit older. Is this it for Ronaldo? Final World Cup?
I think this may be the final World Cup for him because of the high conditioning that Ronaldo has. He's one of the best athletes in the world, and I do see him, just like Messi, playing another World Cup. At this point, I believe he's going to be 37 when the next World Cup comes around, but he is going to be in optimal shape, so he may be on the team kind of as a supporting cast, right?
Sure, absolutely. All right, so moving on from that, we've got the defending champs, the Germans, who won the 2014 World Cup, beating your Argentina team.
Don't remind me. Remind me.
I'm sorry to bring that up, but what are the chances of the Germans going back to back and winning their 5th World Cup overall?
I do see it as a very high chance. The German team is always a strong team.
Yeah.
To me, in my opinion, they're top 3 in the world, if not the best in the world. And I do think that they have a very high chance of repeating another World Cup.
Perfect. All right. So you did mention a little bit about the sleeper teams, but out of the 32-team field, who would you say are the 2-3 sleeper teams that we should watch out for?
We should definitely watch out for France, Belgium, and definitely I mentioned Portugal. Iceland is another very tough team. They're going to really give Argentina a run for their money. I'm really looking for that matchup. It's kind of like David and Goliath, you know what I mean? And I really feel that Iceland can definitely pull out the upset against Argentina.
Perfect. That's great. Well, it's going to be exciting. And finally, let's just get your predictions. Who will be the final 2 teams standing and eventually the team to hoist the prize World Cup in 2018?
If you would have asked me this question about 6 months ago, I would have given you a different answer. I would have said that Brazil is definitely going to win the tournament.
Always strong, yeah.
They're always strong. Obviously, Brazil really counts on Neymar. Neymar did get injured, and he hasn't really been back to playing since his injury. So the World Cup will be the first time that Neymar actually goes out and comes back. So he may be a little bit rusty. Germany's always strong, but I'm not really sure about them. I'm gonna say that Spain takes this next tournament.
Spain, wow!
I actually do think that Spain. They're if you watched their last few games. They're gelling very well, and I think they're going to come on top.
Nice, man. Well, I might have to taco and burrito on their behalf. So, well, that wraps up our World Cup preview. Mario, thanks very much for stopping by and doing this, buddy. Much
No
appreciated.
problem, Milan.
You're
I
going to stick,
appreciate
you're going to stick around for our and more segment a little later on the show, as we'll be talking about your business. So, definitely looking forward to that.
Sounds great, Milan. Thank you for having me.
Again, folks, the FIFA World Cup kicks off on Thursday, June 14th, 2018, and I'm sure we'll be covering it some more once the tournament gets underway. Toronto Talk Sports and more.
So Hez back here with Milo. Time to talk some B-ball, the NBA Eastern and Western Conference playoffs. Let's actually begin in the West. Last night, Tuesday, the 22nd of May, the Rockets fought back, overcame a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter to even up their series against the Golden State Warriors. It was a very exciting game. I'm sure we both agree, Milo, that this was the best game of the conference finals to date. What were your thoughts on the game, and specifically, how did the Warriors end up losing this one?
You know, if I have to, kind of compare this game to something, it would probably be like a boxing match, a heavyweight boxing match, right? I mean, the Warriors came out, they threw the first blow, probably won the first 2-3 rounds, taking a 12-0 lead. And then you got to give it to the Rockets for fighting back. They actually took a 7-point lead going into the half. So, I mean, hey, that's maybe the 3 to 7 rounds there that they won. And then you look at the Warriors, third quarters, that's what they're known for, right? Come out exploding and taking a 10-point lead. Curry was on fire. They took a 10-point lead going into the fourth. So
I know you liked Curry's little shimmy shake there.
Oh yeah, you gotta love Curry, man. He's got that little excitement to him, right? When he gets excited and starts knocking down those threes and layups and all that stuff.
But here's an interesting fact. After that shimmy shake by Curry, he went 1 of 10 for the rest of the game.
Ouch.
So after doing the shimmy, he was 1 of 10 for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. The Dubs were just completely dominated. Obviously, the fourth quarter is what won it for the Rockets, mostly led by their defense, outscoring the Warriors 25-12 in the fourth. Yeah. What went wrong? What happened there, man?
I just think the Warriors really missed Andre Iguodala in this game. You know, it forced Steve Kerr to play his guys, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green.
So they can't beat the Rockets at home without Andre Iguodala?
No, I'm not saying they can't, but they didn't. Look, the Rockets the Rockets won 65 games this year. They're not pushovers. And they came ready to play. Obviously, they took a punch in the face, 12-0 early, but they got themselves back in the game, and their defense was incredible. Give credit to PJ Tucker. James Harden, not known for his defense. He's usually on those Shaq and the Fools.
Speaking of PJ Tucker, how the heck, Mila, how the HECK does a 6'5" guy grab 16 rebounds? How do you allow him to grab? Like, props to him for doing it.
Yeah.
But how do the Warriors allow PJ Tucker to grab not 16 rebounds?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
But look, that's just grit and toughness. You don't have to be
it's
the
effort.
biggest.
It's all
Look
effort.
at the guy like Dennis Rodman, right? Wasn't the biggest in the world, but he used to just own the glass.
Oh, yeah, and he was known for rebounding.
Absolutely,
PJ is more known for, obviously, defense
and rebound.
hit
He's a
some
tough
threes.
guy, and he did a great job. He just got. I think they were just more gritty. They just wanted it a little bit more. They knew their season was on the line. You know what I mean? If they go back to Houston down 3-1, there's really no chance they win the series. So
yeah, what I think really worked in their favor, and we discussed this before, the Rockets, in order to really be, not just to say you need to play a perfect game to beat the Warriors, but especially on the road, playing in Golden State at the Oracle, they need their two stars to play not good, but great. And for the most part, they did. Chris Paul was amazing in the second half. James Harden did his thing in the first half.
yeah, 57 points combined. And besides the offense, though, I would go back to those two key steals James Harden made in the fourth quarter
Amazing.
on Kevin Durant.
Not quite known for his defense, but
No.
he stepped up there.
Exactly. And one of them, he made a beautiful dish to Chris Paul for the layup. The other one, he finished himself. And how about that explosive jam by James Harden over Draymond Green?
Unbelievable.
Wow, just
That was,
amazing.
definitely featured
James
quite
Harden.
a few times online.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's three guys in this series, James Harden, Chris Paul, and Mike D'Antoni, that are looking for redemption. These are the three guys that have not been able to get to the NBA Finals or Conference Finals in Chris Paul's past. But these guys, they needed this win, and they all three of them, I thought D'Antoni coached a great game. Harden and Paul played wonderful.
So do you think fatigue possibly played a factor down the stretch? Once again, the Warriors scoring only 12 points in the fourth quarter. You have both Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. It seemed like every time I was, just watching the game, they were always on the court. Both of them played more minutes than they have in any other game in the entire season. 45 minutes for Draymond, 43 for Kevin Durant. I mean, even Steph and Clay, their numbers are up there. They played close to 40 minutes, I believe 39 apiece. What do you say there? Do you think fatigue was a kind of a factor at the end?
Yeah, I think it definitely played a factor. I think Steve Kerr going into Game 5 is going to have to make an adjustment. I think, for me personally, that adjustment would be Swaggy P. I think I'd put Swaggy P, Nick Young, into the game a little bit more. He's versatile. Obviously, Sean Livingston is a little bit older. David West, all these guys are a little bit older. But Swaggy P, he's got that swag, man. And, I'd like to see him out there a little bit more, maybe give these guys a little bit more of a break and see what happens.
So what do you see for game number 5? So obviously both teams have proven that they could win on the other team's court.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is the way the series has gone so far, so obviously one for the Dubs, one for the Rockets, back and forth, forth. So the Rockets, they're the ones that actually have to beat the Dubs twice. So they have to beat them, 2 times in a row in order to win the series. If it continues at this pace, then obviously the Warriors are, they'll have no problem winning the series. So how can the Rockets, who are, I believe your pick, you did pick them to go to the finals.
I did actually.
So how do you see the rest of the series shaping up? It's now a 3-game series.
Yeah, so we're going to Game 5 right now. I'm going to take the Rockets in Game 5 in front of their home court.
Interesting.
In front of their home court. I think it was just released that Iguodala and Klay Thompson are both
they're questionable. Yep.
I would say probably one of them will maybe play. And then I would like to see the Warriors win Game 6. I think they'll win in their building. And it's going to set up a huge showdown. Game 7 in Houston. I picked the Rockets. I'm sticking with my pick.
Yeah, what I would say, Clay is very important. He had a very, very good game. The first game of the series, you remember, he had 28 points. The last 3 games of this series, Klay Thompson is averaging 10.3 points per game. Games
pathetic.
2, 3, and 4.
It's downright pathetic.
Beyond pathetic. And he's not shooting that badly in terms of percentage-wise, but you need to get at least 17, 18 minimum points from Klay Thompson.
And he did tweak that knee yesterday.
Acceptable. Was that?
He did tweak that knee yesterday.
Yeah. So that's
we'll
hopefully he'll
holds
ice it, and he's he'll be good to go. Yeah. Let's move on, Milo. Game number 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals that goes tonight in Boston between the Cavaliers and the Celtics. So tonight, once again, being Wednesday the 23rd. So by the time this podcast obviously airs, the game would have been settled. What are your thoughts? The home team obviously has won both games, or every game so far in the series. The Celtics go into this game 9-0 at home. They haven't lost at home this entire postseason. Can the Cavs steal win in Boston? What happens tonight, bro?
Yeah, I'd just like to remind everybody that I did pick the Cavaliers. More specifically, mind you, that I picked the Cavaliers to win the finals.
Right. So what happens tonight, by the way? the Cavs going to finally win in Boston?
I'm gonna go with Boston, actually, at home.
Okay.
Look, after the last 2 games, everybody's now back on Cleveland saying they figured it out. They figured out Brad Stevens' genius and this and that. It's 2 games at home. What they were supposed to do. Boston did the same thing. I want to see somebody win on the road before I start crowning. Oh yeah, LeBron James and the Cavaliers are unbeatable now. You got to show me that. And we say this all the time. We always hear it in sports. A series doesn't start until the road team wins.
Absolutely.
So if the Cavaliers can go into Boston tonight and prove that they can come out with a victory, then I'll maybe buy it. But I'm going to stick with the home team. The
Who are you
Celtics.
looking for from the Cavs? Who needs to step up on Cleveland on the road?
I think Kyle Korver, has been key the last 2 games for them at home, and I think he's definitely a clutch player for them and to come up
The
big.
last 3 games, Korver is 8 of 14 from behind the arc, 57% the last 3 games. He's had double digits the last 3 games. He's played very well.
And also, don't forget about a guy like George Hill. LeBron actually mentioned this as well. He's been through some big battles with George Hill when Hill was on the Pacers. So he's played in some big games. And again, these guys keep showing up at home. And I'd like to see them do it on the road. Let's see you have that confidence to shoot the ball enough times where you're going to make an impact for your team, both offensively and defensively.
Definitely. And speaking of LeBron, we know that LeBron didn't get off to a good start when they got demolished game 1 of the series.
Yeah.
LeBron only had 15 points. Since then, LeBron, the last 3 games, has averaged 37.7 points a game. The last 3 games, he's just been a beast, totally on fire.
Amazing.
What do we expect from LeBron? Is it the same story?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy has just been on an incredible run these playoffs. I don't.
But isn't Marcus Morris? Isn't he the LeBron stopper?
Well, apparently Kawhi Leonard, according to Marcus Morris, is the LeBron stopper, but he's the second best guy to defend him.
Right.
I think LeBron's just going to go out there. He's probably going to get his triple dub. that he usually gets. And, Shannon Sharp on Undisputed is going to be very excited tomorrow morning. But, I again, the strategy for me, if I'm Boston, let LeBron get his. Easier said than done. Guard the 3-point shooters, make sure they don't get theirs. But it's the Corvers, it's the Loves, it's the George
And Kevin
Hills.
Love, speaking of, he's been pretty consistent. I mean, he hasn't had any real monster, but for the most part, he's been in double-double guy. He's been very
played
consistent
well.
with his numbers. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's played well. And those are guys that are going to be the key. It's always the others, right? That's what helped Shaq and MJ and Kobe win all their titles, the others. Those other guys do what they do. I like Cleveland in 6 or 7.
All right, so let's talk on the other side in terms of the Celtics. So who needs to step up for Boston? Who needs to, in order for them to reclaim the series and take control of the series and win Game 5? For me personally, I'm looking at a guy like Jason Tatum, who's been great. He's been very consistent.
Yeah.
I think he needs to continue. What I would like to say actually about Jason Tatum, just his overall maturity for a first-year player, a rookie. He's just been phenomenal, and it's not even so much the numbers that he's putting up, monster numbers. I mean, he's been averaging at probably around 16, 17 points a game, but he's just been very consistent. He's been steady. He plays very good defense as well. Just an overall, really solid NBA player. I mean, he doesn't look like a 1 year or a rookie out there competing to go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, he's actually on my radar to make the All-Star team next year. But for me,
big time.
Yeah, for me, I would like to see Al Horford get back to the way he played in the first 2 games. I think he's kind of the heart and soul of that team.
100%.
That engine. He's one of those key, rare 5'4" guys that can, create his own shot and do his thing. He sometimes runs the break for them. But Tristan Thompson has done an incredible job on him. So you got to give the Cavaliers credit the last 2 games of shutting down Horford. But if he has a big game tonight, I think the Celtics do win.
So your Game 5 prediction again is?
I'm going to go with
Boston, right?
Boston, yeah.
Okay, so I guess that means you have the Cavs winning Game 6 and 7.
I hope so, if my prediction stands
So I think,
true.
interesting enough, we're in agreement. I did initially have the Cavs winning the series in about 6 or 7. I think that if it does go to a Game 7, obviously the home team will likely be favored. But I definitely would put my money on LeBron James winning a Game 7 and the other guys on Cleveland in terms of experience or whatnot.
Stepping up, yeah.
But I would say tonight is even more important for Boston. They can't afford to lose, 3 games in a row and go into Cleveland facing elimination, especially how they've played on the road. So it's a very important game for Boston. If Cleveland loses, once again, which I think we both pick Boston to win tonight, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Right. Cleveland's more than capable of winning Game 7 and certainly closing things out in Game 7 for LeBron to potentially head to his 8th straight NBA Finals.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing, Hez, if he could do it for the 8th straight year. Unbelievable.
Yep. We'll see what happens. So lots of things heating up. Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, the NBA Finals right around the corner. Stay tuned. Toronto Talk Sports and more. We're very pleased to welcome back Royal LePage real estate agent, Mr. Mario Armani.
Thank you so much, Hezekiah, for having me on the show. I'm really excited once again to be here.
Awesome. Feel free to call me Hez. So just like Milo was saying in the earlier segment, you guys go back about 15 years. So the same thing with us. We all pretty much met each other at the same company, which we don't need to name. But we had a lot of fun back in the days. It's a great pleasure reconnecting. And thank you so much for being a part of the show, bro.
Some of those DVDs out of your trunk, eh, Hez?
Good old days. What do they call me? The Blackbuster?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember that, but yeah, pretty creative.
Crazy
That's
times.
it.
So listen, Mario, before we get into things, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Who is Mario Armani?
So I've been a real estate agent for about 10 years now. I currently work with Royal LePage out of Weston and Major Mac branch, Royal LePage Premium 1. So even though I am a real estate agent, there's obviously a lot of real estate agents in the market. I do consider myself to stand out above the crowd. I have a lot of different marketing techniques, and branding is very important in my business. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the segment. But the real estate business is constantly changing, constantly growing and evolving. And if you're not maintaining and sharpening up your skills, you definitely get left behind.
Excellent. So before we really get into real estate, what we want to do is talk about marketing. Let's talk about marketing first, and specifically branding. Now, marketing in general, it's an area that I've studied and worked in for well over 20 years. I know you guys have a lot of marketing experience as well. Entrepreneurship, actually, in particular, is something that I'm extremely passionate about. we really wanted to include this somewhere in the show, and that's actually the purpose of this and more segment, giving Toronto-based entrepreneurs and influencers a platform where they can promote their business, their project, and things that they're doing, and so on and so forth. So back to branding, which of course is a marketing term, simply meaning the process by which a company brands and implements to differentiate their product or service within their industry, whether it's having a unique or a catchy business name, slogan, logo, promotional strategy, customer service plan, it's all branding. Now, this is something that we believe, Mario, that from what we observed, you've done very, very well in your respective industry. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about branding and, what it means to you, and what are maybe some general tips that you would give to business owners out there and how they could personally brand themselves as well as their business?
Great question, Hez. Branding is definitely one of the most important facets of not just real estate, but any business in general. Before people actually get to meet you, they actually get to see your brand. Your brand being either your logo, your corporate colors, a specific jingle, or even a video promotion that you have running in the market. So branding is very important because before somebody actually gets to know you and meet you, they actually see you and get to experience your services before even reaching you through the various social media platforms or advertisements that a company may have, right?
Definitely.
So it's very, very important that you project the proper image because that's exactly what people are going to see first.
How do you know what image to portray? Like, how do you establish what I want my brand to be?
Well, that's actually something very personal. Everybody's different. Some people, for example, talking about real estate, there are some realtors that try to portray a more professional type of branding. I feel that that is my personality and that is my style. There are some other realtors that try to portray a more humorous type of branding.
The comical ads and whatnot, the billboards.
Yes. So it just depends on your personality, depends on who you are.
I like the fact that you do a mix of both, right? You're professional, but sometimes you do those videos with, the pizza eating contests or the chicken wings and things like that I've noticed. So lots of fun on your Instagram pages. So I always have a good time looking at those, right?
Thank you so much, Milan. That is very important. The problem, another problem that I see with real estate and branding as well is that people who are in real estate, they're constantly talking about only real estate, and people actually get bored of that, right? So you want to talk about your family, you want to actually let people into your world and show them a little bit more of yourself on the personal side.
You want to personalize. And you know what, Armani? I could not agree more. For me personally, and I'll give an example. Like, let's say club promoters. And I know we all kind of hate club promoters because they inundate you with, flyers and events, this and that. So for me personally, I hate whether it's Facebook, IG, if you have a club promoter or DJ or whatever, and all they do is post their flyers and their events and this, you know nothing about them at all. Like, at least mix it up a little bit, have some balance. You have to show some part of yourself, whether it's, post a picture of your kids, something in your family, like show you. So, because I feel in business, the most important thing is when people decide that they want to do business with you, it's all about you as a person.
Selling yourself.
Exactly. You have to promote yourself.
For
so
sure.
that's just one thing that's always annoyed me, particularly with, once again, the entertainment industry. Just people constantly, boom, 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 business, and you know absolutely nothing about them.
Yeah, business, it's getting to be more personal, and you have to kind of niche. So if people aren't getting to know you, unfortunately, they're not going to be using your services. So,
all right, so let's specifically talk real estate. So tell us, Mario, how did you get started in the business? Why real estate?
I got started in the business about 10 years ago. So I owned a couple of properties, and about 10 years ago was when it was really popular, when all these do-it-yourself shows were on the air. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go into flipping homes. And in order to sell homes, I need to hire a real estate agent. But these damn real estate agents, they make so much money, and I don't want to pay them. So I'm going to get my real estate license and avoid the middleman. So I actually ended up doing that. Definitely smart thinking. But I realized that it wasn't as easy as I thought. I failed in a couple of projects, and afterwards I started actually buying and selling real estate for people. So the ball kept going, and I turned a part-time hobby into something full-time.
Awesome. How long have you been with Royal LePage?
I've been with Royal LePage actually for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was with a couple of different brokerages, but I've been a real estate agent now for 10 years, and we're going strong.
Awesome. So, Mario, I know you and I have discussed personally some areas in the city to invest and potentially buy a property, but for our TTS listeners out there who might be looking to either purchase a home of their own or even buy it to rent out, where would you say are maybe a few areas they should be looking at?
It all depends on budget. It depends on exactly what it is that they want to do. If they want to actually build a home, if they want to actually use a home for rental purposes. It also depends on, like I said, their budget. There are some areas that I like. For example, I do like South Etobicoke. You can definitely pick up a cheaper home in and along the 650 to 800 range, and then you can go ahead and do some renovations or building.
Nation, eh? Ford Nation.
Ford Nation. What up to Doug?
Yeah, I know you've also mentioned to me Brampton and Alliston, even a little bit north of the city. Those are
Yes, Alliston is a very, very good area. Recently, with the downturn in the market, the prices have kind of gone down quite drastically over the last year. So definitely a great area to invest in. Brampton, I absolutely love it because it's very easy to get renters out there. So overall, it's definitely a great area to invest.
perfect.
Awesome. Now, specifically, what would you say, let's talk first-time buyers. What are some of the biggest challenges that first-time buyers face?
It's a fantastic question, Hez. The major mistake that a lot of first-time buyers make is that they actually don't get themselves informed. And I actually feel that not only they do it, but the majority of buyers out there do it. The first step to actually going ahead and figuring things out is to speak to a realtor. Make sure not to choose your realtor based on the fact that they're your friends or your family or somebody
Or they look good.
Or they look good.
Oh, she's up.
Or they look good, but it's definitely a great idea to, you're going to be spending a lot of time with this realtor. Make sure that you definitely gel with that person, that you get along with them, and that you guys do connect on a personal level. And the transaction is always going to go smooth afterwards. You got to get informed and make sure that that they're covering all the angles.
All right, Mario, I got to ask you, man, if there was one celebrity in the city, whether being in Toronto or actually outside of Toronto as well, that you would like to sell a home to, who would it be and why?
Easy question, brother. I'm going to keep it local. My man Drizzy.
Drizzy Drake.
I gotta
right.
do it. So
Yeah,
I've actually been following his build over there in the Bridle Path area. I actually drive down there every like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm also an avid fan of construction, so just to see that monster, the Ferris Follies building for him is just outstanding. So yeah, definitely I would want to do some business with Drake.
I might be able to put you in touch.
No
we'll
problem.
talk after.
Let me know.
It's all about the six.
That's it.
So I got a question for you, bro. So tell us about one of your craziest experiences on the job. Now, obviously, you do a lot of showings and stuff like that. Like, tell us one of the just crazy things. Maybe you went into a home and somebody jumped out of a closet naked, screaming obscenities, whatever. Like, well, tell us something that happened.
Craziest thing that's ever happened is I knock on the door, nobody's answering. I walk in all of a sudden, because we do have the lockbox, we have the code, go in there, and I see a guy just watching TV there in his underwears, just looking at me, and I don't know what was wrong with him, if he was on drugs or something, but he was just sitting there.
But you weren't expecting anybody in the home.
Wasn't expecting, because nobody answered the door. And the weirdest thing is, I thought that guy was going to get up and run away, but he just sat there looking at me like nothing. So I just closed the door and knocked
What color
again.
underwear was he wearing?
Honestly, I was trying not even to look. So I got out of there pretty quickly.
Perfect, man.
crazy.
So I want to ask you, obviously we all have professional jobs and we enjoy them, but what do you enjoy the most about being a real estate agent? What would you say is the thing that drives you the most?
What I enjoy the most is the satisfaction that some of the people do receive. A lot of the times people, and not necessarily first-time buyers, but people that have done 3 or 4 transactions, it's kind of common to them, but there's a lot of people that buy homes for the first time or they get the home of their dreams, and when they're very happy and when you do a good deal for them, it's one of the most satisfying feelings ever. So that's definitely something that, to me, it's not just about the money, but it definitely hits home, right?
For sure.
Awesome. So let's get back to branding. We spoke about that at the beginning of this segment. So why Mario Armani? What do you feel sets you apart from other real estate agents, Mario?
Like it says on my Instagram page, armanisells.ca, right on my bio, it says attention to detail is everything. I leave no stone unturned, from my marketing to a lot of the videos that I do, my promotional materials, my advertisements. About a year and a half ago, the market was on fire. You can put a sign on the lawn, a property would sell. Now you actually have to have a game plan. You actually have to have an idea of what you're doing. So realtors like myself now are getting a lot more exposure because people are being very, very picky on who they choose. So this market is actually helping me out quite a bit because people are actually noticing that I am different from other realtors. So definitely that is what I feel sets me apart from the others.
Absolutely. And one thing that I can add to that, and I think we spoke about this before, just in terms of you do very good engagement with your videos, a lot of great stuff on social media, and you seem to have this real sincerity in the way that you talk. I mean, even just listening to you right now, but in your videos and your promotional stuff, you definitely seem like that kind of guy that, hey, I would love to not even just do business with this guy, but someone that I wouldn't mind, sitting down with, having a beer, drinking a coffee with. So very relatable. So that's one thing I really appreciate, just observing, what you do marketing and branding wise. So that's good
Thank
stuff,
you.
man.
I really appreciate that. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually do become friends with like the majority of my clients.
That's
So
awesome,
it's
man.
actually
That's awesome.
It's good,
a
man.
great point that you brought out.
Awesome.
I just want to ask you quickly. I know this is our and more segment. We don't really talk too much sports, but I can't let you leave here without talking some Steelers. For people that don't know, Mario is a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, along with myself. So what do you think? We going all the way this year, brother?
You know what? I say this every year, and then something happens. As long as Ben gets his act together and doesn't create all the conflict that he creates every year, I think they have a chance. Obviously, we drafted some great young players.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see if this new quarterback gets some snaps, and I want to see how he does.
I'm sure we'll watch some games together this year. So.
For sure. I hope so.
Cool.
Hope we actually get to see a game in person.
That's it.
All right, so now it's time for what we call and more rapid fire. Mario, are you ready?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, so this is where I'm going to spit out 15 random questions, and you have no time at all, just the first thing that comes to your mind answering these questions. So here we go.
Let's do it.
What's your favorite animal?
Bear.
What hospital were you born at?
I don't know.
When's your birthday?
June 27th.
Should fighting be banned from hockey, or is it just a part of the game?
No, part of the game.
If you could have dinner with any one celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dead.
I
gotta say,
how you do the Jeopardy song? I
gotta go with Drake, man. Drake's my boy, man.
Drizzy, the 6. All right, now question number 6. This isn't for me. This is for the ladies. Boxers or briefs?
Boxers, buddy.
Boxers, baby.
Don't lie if one's for you.
What's your favorite thing to eat?
Pizza.
Your biggest pet peeve?
Milan.
Oh, man. Wow, I'm sitting right next to you, too.
What's your biggest pet peeve, man? Give us something. What gets under your skin and just really irritates you?
Stupid realtors.
All right,
There you go.
cool. Who do you think will win the Stanley Cup this year?
Washington.
All right. Which one of your kids, you have 2 beautiful boys, as we understand, which one of your kids is most like you?
The older one.
All right. What age did you have your first kiss?
7.
All right. What's your favorite finger to pick your nose with?
Definitely the index finger, buddy. But the pinky comes in handy once in a while.
Yes, it does. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla.
During the Raptors-Cavs series, which was a couple weeks ago, did you secretly wish that LeBron James would get injured?
Yes.
Didn't we all? And lastly, what sounds does a cow make?
Mrrr.
Awesome, buddy. Love it. Muriel, thank you so much. That was awesome. Listen, bud, it's been a great pleasure having you on. We wish you nothing but continued success and prosperity in your business and in life in general. And definitely please come back on the show. You know you're always welcome on Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Thank you so much, Hez.
Milo, anything you want to add?
I just want to say it's a pleasure having you on, Mario, a good friend of mine. And if anybody needs any real estate services from Mario, I definitely highly recommend him.
Absolutely, Milo. Couldn't agree more. Mario Armani Real Estate for the win. So, Mario, tell the people, how can they get in contact with you?
You can check out all my latest videos on my YouTube page, YouTube channel, Mario Armani Real Estate Team. Just search YouTube and you can check out all the latest videos and subscribe to my channel to watch them all.
Mario Armani Real Estate Team.
Yes,
now,
sir.
what about social media?
On social media, you can look me up on Facebook at Mario Armani, and on Instagram actually is where I actually show a little bit more of my personal side. My Instagram is armanisells.ca, and definitely follow me and say hello, send me a DM.
Awesome. What about website? What's your business website?
My website is armanisells.com, and if you want to see the latest properties, my website is actually connected to the Toronto Realtors website, so you'll be able to see all the latest properties at armanisells.com.
armanisells.com. Once again, Mario, thank you so much for joining us. It was a great pleasure. We had a lot of fun, great reconnecting. Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to episode number 8 of Toronto Talk Sports and More. A very special thank you to Mario Armani of Royal LePage for coming on today's show. Mario, it was great having you on. Please note that our next episode, episode number 9 of Toronto Talk Sports and More, will be released on Wednesday, May the 30th, 2018. Again, episode number 9 will be released on Wednesday, May 30th, 2018. Toronto Talk Sports and More. For the love of the six, let's connect.
Thank you for tuning into Toronto Talk Sports and More. Please subscribe to our podcast via Apple iTunes or Google Play Store. And stay tuned for new episodes, prizes, and surprises at torontotalksports.com.